At some point in your life, you've probably come against a hacker in Apex, but sometimes these hackers have very strange hacks, from being able to dual wield any weapon to forcing you to reload your gun. Let's look at the most insane Apex hacks, starting off with a hack that was genuinely horrifying, as back in Season 18, the charge rifle had a rework to make it shoot projectiles instead of a hit scan beam. But before Season 18, it literally just shot a beam that would shoot directly wherever you're aiming. This was hit scan, it had no travel time and it had no bullet drop. And hackers found a scary way to abuse this. Basically, there was a hack discovered that allowed people to freeze themselves in midair, and not only do that, but also shoot a non-stop charge rifle beam. So hackers could literally turn themselves into a hellish beam that would destroy anybody in their line of sight. And because obviously if hackers had the ability to do this, they probably had aimbot, they could just completely cut off areas of the map where nobody could walk without getting shot by a beam of death that just wouldn't stop. Looking back at it, the clips of people using this hack are hilarious because the people they're shooting are so scared. Like, they are literally deer in the headlights. Of course, eventually, luckily, this one got patched, but hackers didn't stop trying to find absurd ways to break Apex, as only a year later, another insane hack was discovered, and this hack would later become a feature. It was the akimbo hack, but akimbo wasn't limited to just the Mozam and P20, but the hacker could akimbo any weapon they wanted to. If they had a Kraber, well, they could make it 2 Krabers. This allowed hackers to not only aimbot, but also put out insane amounts of damage while looking really cool, because at the end of the day, they were carrying around 2 of whatever gun they wanted to. And when they did this with weapons like the R99, let's not lie, hacking is horrible, but this looked cool as hell. But one vital part of this cheat is not only the flare of it, but also the cheater could shoot while downed or healing, allowing them to constantly output damage no matter what, because their offhand was always occupied by a weapon. Man, I wish the akimbo P20s could do this, although that would be extremely unfair. Many people started getting killed by this, posting clips. Some called it fake, some called it insane, and the hack slowly started to spread until Respawn patched it. And you may think this was a bit of a small scale hack, not many people saw it, but no, quite a few people experienced it, and even ACU was killed by an akimbo hacker, and he spectated them and was literally speechless to how this was even possible. In a funny turn of events though, 2 years after this hack was patched, Respawn kind of added it as a feature by adding the akimbo ability to the Mozam and P20. Also, some modded versions of Apex Legends actually have akimbo as a toggleable attachment, but since this hack was patched, it hasn't popped up again, so I think we're safe from it. There was a more recent hack though, which was not only shocking because of how absurd it was, but also because the person who used the hack would later go on to do one of the most infamous things in Apex history, and this was the bot army hack. Now, granted, this hack wasn't really used against normal people, it was a hack that was mostly used to target streamers due to its absurdity, and essentially this is what we know of how the hack functioned. A pro would queue a game, and a hacker would try to stream snipe their game, not just with one account, but many accounts. And when the hacker would get into the game with the streamer, the hacker would somehow control all of these accounts with a bot which would target one specific player, the streamer. So when the streamer landed, they would be followed by many bots who have one priority in their bot brain: to punch the streamer to death. This targeted several streamers like Mandate and Imperial How, and in one of the games where Mandate was targeted, he actually managed to talk to the person who was controlling these bots, who turned out to be Destroyer 2009. Little did we know, Destroyer 2009 would go on to do one of the most infamous hacks in Apex history, where he put hacks into Jen Burton's and Imperial How's computers and made them hack during an ALGS event, which was insane. And this caused so much drama in the Apex community, it summoned a Blizzard employee of 7 years. By the way, did you know he worked at Blizzard? Additionally, Destroyer 2009 had a hack that allowed him to send Apex packs to anybody's account, and he sent Mandate thousands, and I mean thousands, of Apex packs. And that's probably the only hack from this list you want to be targeted by. Although this next cheat or hack, whatever you want to call it, was literally made to rage bait people and make them think they were going insane, as this was the forced reload hack, where essentially if you came within a radius of a hacker, you wouldn't be able to shoot them. Instead, every time you tried to shoot, your character would reload their weapon and drop their ammo. And that was literally the hack. I'm sure the hacker would be using aimbot as well, but if you did try to kill them, you physically wouldn't be able to because your character would be forced to reload their mag. Now, originally, when this hack was first discovered and clips of it were circulating, people were like, this isn't a real hack, you're trolling. But it did turn out to be a real hack after it kept spreading. And when it was initially spreading, I never saw any gameplay of this hack from the perspective of the hacker. But when researching this video, I did. Once again, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's kind of funny. The hacker literally just chases enemies while they can't stop reloading and he punches them out. This is literally absurd and not only annoying but powerful, because even if you're like a really low skilled hacker, like they all are, you wouldn't be punished for making any sort of bad positioning or bad moves because the enemies literally wouldn't be able to shoot you. Also, in this video that I discovered, the hacker was using another hack called instant grenades, where whenever the grenade contacted or came near an enemy, it would just instantly explode, which once again, I don't know how the hackers would even manage to code this, but they did. One of my favorite cheats though in Apex is the Vantage flying hack. It's kind of hard to describe because obviously cheaters, when they're using aimbot, are gonna want to run into a load of enemies and rotate quickly to get as many kills as they want to satisfy their sad little existences. And several years ago, one cheat developer discovered the perfect way to do this. They somehow created a cheat out of Vantage's tactical, which allowed them to increase the size of their jump by about 10 times, which looks insane. This guy rotates from landslide all the way to fragment with one tactical charge. And honestly, the movement from the cheat isn't very fast. He's actually flying towards fragment very, very slow. It almost seems like he's stolen a really low powered jetpack. But to be honest, if a cheater didn't like what you were doing, they didn't have to use these cheats to jump around the map or stop you from reloading, when they just had the ability to crash you from the game. Yes, seriously, at one point cheaters just had the ability to kick you off the game. Speaking of kicking you off the game, there was a point in Apex's history where a hack caused the whole of Apex Legends to become unplayable for several hours. And this hack is super infamous. It was the Save Titanfall hack. It was not only infamous because of how insane the scale of it was, but it was also infamous because it took place on the 4th of July, when no Apex developers were in the office because they were out celebrating. The hackers knew it was the perfect time to attack. Essentially, like I mentioned, this hack unfolded on the 4th of July, and hackers were able to take control of the playlist systems part of the game and lock every single mode down, so players weren't able to queue from the lobby into modes they wanted to play. Additionally, they changed a lot of UI text elements in the lobby to say Save Titanfall and link people to savetitanfall.com to spread the word about Titanfall 1 being made unplayable by hackers. Ironically, the worst part was Respawn couldn't directly fight this issue because they weren't in the office, so many developers who were out just chilling or celebrating with their family had to come back and fix this. Luckily, the servers were only down for a few hours, but my god, it was a memorable few hours because the game was literally completely changed and locked down just by a vengeful few Titanfall fans. But it definitely raised awareness of the word of Save Titanfall. And also, don't get confused, Save Titanfall didn't have anything to do with this hack. A few people just decided to elevate the voice of Save Titanfall by doing this. Luckily these days though, Respawn has put quite a priority on stopping cheaters and hackers, and hopefully this continues and we don't have to experience this ever again. But subscribe to see if we do have to experience it again.